Hi everybody, my name is Rossana and I animated the 2D webs for this shot that was done for our Spider-Rita body mechanics course for Lupin House animation. And if you're interested in doing the same, getting an inside look as to how I did the webs, well then just keep on watching. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the first thing I did before even animating anything is how do webs work, right? So I just immediately looked up for reference, typed into YouTube Spider-Verse webs. So nothing so crazy. And I couldn't find the exact reference I used, but honestly, any shot from the film will do. And a little tip about YouTube videos, if you don't know, if you use the little left and right arrow key, not the arrow keys, but where the comma and period are on the keyboard, the comma and period, use them as arrow keys. It'll let you go frame by frame. So here's a really specific shot that I found while looking for reference to show you guys, that clearly shows how the webs work and the kind of concept I used when tackling it in our body mechanic shot. So let's go back a bit. So let's let it play first. Okay, goes by really quick, but you don't really question it. It works, right? So here's Gwen. She's about to shoot the web. We see it, and notice that it's not straight out, right? It has like a nice little curve to it. Still curving, loose, and then all of a sudden it tightens. So that feeling of slackness to tautness, that's the kind of feeling I was trying to get in the shot when animating the webs. It makes sense, essentially. The webs are being shot out. There's nothing really that it's holding on to, so it's just kind of like, flowing in the wind until it catches on to the side of a building, roof, window, whatever it is, and then that's going to pull the web like this, right? And so that's the kind of thought I had in my head, trying to imagine Spider-Rita. She's shooting it to the window, it hasn't reached, it's almost there, and then tight, it's reached. She's caught on and she's ready to go. And then, you see her go. It's still tight. And then here, as soon as she releases it, there's no longer that weight of her pulling it tight. So once again, it goes back to slackness. And honestly, the bare bones of it all, that was it. That was the kind of thinking I used when going into the shot. And then from there, we'll dive into how exactly I animated it. Alright, so let's get right into it. I animated the 2D webs for this shot on Procreate Dreams, but you're free to obviously work on it wherever you'd like, wherever you prefer. The concept is the same, so it shouldn't really affect it too much. So here we're going to look at the first section of the shot and how I did the webs. So this is the final product. Bloop. Yeah, so something different that I did, unlike the Spider-Verse reference we just took a look at, is I really liked adding the fun little big webs, as soon as they come shooting out of Spider-Rita's hand. So that's just like a fun little thing I added. And actually, instead of going loose immediately, I had it go a bit loose upon the shootout, but I did have it go tight after that, because as you see, she's kind of using it to already go down with her body. So I imagine that the story I'm making up in my head, obviously, even though it hasn't reached its target point, it's going tight because she's actively pulling it down instead of like already being in the air and not having that connection yet with the web, right? So it's like an immediate pull from Spider-Rita. So that's why I decided to have it go straight immediately. But when she fixes her position, or she's already kind of settling into her new orientation, we do see that web go slack, like in the reference, because it still hasn't hit the building or whatever it is that it's going to stick to eventually. And then here, as you can see, I do have her, I hold it for 2 frames, and I have her, as she goes down, pull it tightly from her hand. And as we see that, the same idea is applied here until it eventually goes all the way tight, straight as she's pulling it, right? So yeah, awesome. And then here's a different one where it's a bit more straightforward, less is happening. She's just shooting it out and pulling it down and doing a little flip, right? So from her right hand, again, we see that big web shoot out immediately. Like I said, I strayed away from the reference and I decided to keep that straight so we can focus on the web being formed immediately upon shootout. But then once it's already, in the air, we do again see that go loose until it eventually hits its target, goes tight, and she uses it to push down. Bloop. And it goes straight. Yep. So that's kind of like a little breakdown of the beginning. But I'm actually going to hide it all and kind of redo it so you guys can see me see how I actually approach it real time. So let's get right into it. So immediately we see her little hand form the little shooting pose. So I would just make like a little sign like, yeah, the white's coming out. Just have fun with it. I try not to be too precious with it because there's always room for cleanup later. But actually not in this case because we wanted it to be sketchy, so that was nice. I also did want to mention that the method to animating this shot that I took was straight ahead animation. I usually don't straight ahead things, but given the kind of animating I'd be doing, it was a lot of feeling it out and feeling what feels feeling what feels the best essentially. So most of the time I was just making up the path of action that the web was going to take on the spot. So that's why you're going to see me kind of instead of going to like the main poses that Spider-Rita's doing and throwing in the web in there, instead of doing that, I'm just going frame by frame, sometimes every 2 frames, just depending. Just to quickly get stuff in there, see how it's feeling. That's why it's also a lot of back and forth, because once I really nailed down what it is that I wanted to do, I'm like, okay, now I have a better idea. Let me go back and just clean this part up that I did 5 frames ago that I didn't know I was going to do 6 frames later, So it's just that kind of idea. And yeah, and you're going to see me, I guess, straight ahead animate right now. So, yep. And again, this is already animated, so you can just let the hand control. She's already moving. The hand is key, so you kind of have to let the hand control the movement of the web. Let's have it go this way. Yeah. Again, you can see how sketchy I'm being with this. So I'm keeping it straight because again, she's already forming that connection with the web by fixing her orientation and kind of pulling it down. And wherever I can, I do try to hold for 2 frames. But I think it might be... Yeah, that's fine. I think I would actually have it start going loose here as she's already settling in, like I said earlier. Yeah. And I can see, yeah. So I said earlier I held this for 2 frames. But really, I just duplicated it and pulled it down. So wherever I had a chance to do this, I did it. Makes things a lot easier and nicer for the viewer to kind of understand what's going on. Same thing here, duplicate. But I will erase this bit because she's now introducing a change in the web, which is making it tight and pulling it down. So I want to make this very clear, like that, yeah. And then that's gonna go straight into the tightness of the web. Now she's gonna push it off to the side and be mindful of the spacing for this. Yeah, and then I think I actually had it like come back around like that or something. But I'm just not going to go too deep into it, just trying to show you the concept of the web in relation to Spiderita. Yeah, it feels good. So you feel the pull down as she uses it to bounce herself up, but I think we can exaggerate it a bit further, honestly. I think this could be a bigger curve on like that, yeah. Well, maybe it's a bit much actually. So like this. I want to feel that pull she does here. Like really, yeah, like that. Okay, much better. I feel it, but this might be a bit too sharp, honestly. So I think instead, just go like this. Yeah. That's a lot better. I like this little thing. Oh. I like this little bump I did here. But it feels too much like an accident. Might be fun to bring it a bit further into the next frame. And then see it. Like that. Something like that. Let's see. I don't know about that. I think it's not flowing too well because of the one previous. I just really want to get that beginning of the straightness here. But also keeping the nice flow of the rest of the web. Let's see. Yeah, it's a bit too jumpy there. It's feeling a bit too jumpy. Honestly, I think I would just go straight. And I think for the straight ones, I do recommend turning on smoothing and making the straightest line you can. I'm just doing this as like a sketch first. But that's what I would do going back into it after, for cleanup, I mean. Yeah, like that. Yeah. I think I would honestly, I think this could be pushed a bit more. It's always a nice balance having it contrast like the curves, but not having it feel a bit like jarring, if that makes sense. Okay. So honestly, whether it's 2D or 3D, a lot of what animation is going back and honestly just fixing anything you see wrong or redoing what you did 500 times. Yeah. There's a nice little like bring. I don't like it though. And I think this is one of those moments where honestly, I mean, I want to hold it, I think. I think that's it. So it's not too jarring, but we can still keep the opposing curves. Yeah. Yeah, like that. That's what I mean. And I also want to show that pull here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that feels a lot better. I think I would just make this straight, like from here. It's also because I'm just keeping it sketchy, so it's, yeah. So it's hard to get super clean. Super straight lines, I mean. Okay, let's see. Yeah, there you go. Like, that's the idea. And then obviously, as you saw in like the original, I had it fall forward like this. But for the sake of not having this video be super long, I'll do the more straightforward one right here where she shoots. Let me add another track. So let's get up close. I would already start showing some kind of indication here. Right, something's gonna come out. We can even introduce the looseness upon the shootout that we saw in the reference. Get closer. And then let's say it hits already. Because she's gonna need to pull it soon. Again, use like a smoothing or something. There we go. Pulls. But not too jarring, so let's try to keep it where it's coming from. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we're already starting to see that bloom. And then here, I think it'd be a nice touch to have it go loose again, actually, which I think I might have done in the final, just to feel that contrast when she pulls it down again, if that makes sense. I think it might be nice. But see, I was looking up here, but you don't want that moving too much. I'm gonna introduce that tightness starting from the hand, but keep it loose at the top. And then, yeah, it goes straight. That's not a clean line. There we go. We want to make sure it's not. Yeah. And she's letting it go now. And then, like I did in the original, I just would start holding it on twos and letting it go. Like so. Yeah. So that's a really quick little tutorial as to how I approached the webs for this. Mainly the idea behind the webs and how to utilize them in any way you'd like. I actually want to... Sorry, if I keep looking at this, I'm going to want to keep adjusting it even though I've already worked on this, which is hilarious. I think we could leave it looser for longer. Say it's loose here, but it's already... Yeah, let's see how that looks. Let's have a look. And yeah, so that's kind of like the beginnings of what this would look like. I would say this is feeling a bit too wiggly, if that makes sense, not intentional. So I would refine it, and I think it's because of this. Let's see. Yeah, it feels better. Yeah. Yeah, so if I were to keep on going with this, I would just polish it all the way through, clean it up, look for little wiggles. But for the most part, the basis of what working with webs is like is here. And yeah, I hope this will motivate you to do some 2D fun stuff in your Spiderita shots. And yeah, I'd love to see the work you guys make, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. And happy animating, everybody. Thanks.